Tatul is the coordinator of the Ani Armenian Research Center, which focuses on contemporary Armenian issues, and he's a columnist for Alik Media. Between 2009 and 2021, he was an analyst at Civilitas Foundation, as well as a correspondent for its online CivilNet broadcasts. Tatul is also and has also contributed to other media outlets, including the Armenian Reporter, Public Radio of Armenia, Ask, Yergir, and Angachutun. Shoregalutun Tatul. Thanks so much for being with us. Please, I hand over the program to you, at least this part of the program to you. I hope you're safe. Thank you. Please, Tatul. You are on mute still, Tatul.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Aram. Thank you, Mark. And special thanks to Nasser for organizing this event. And before starting, first of all, I am safe, and all Syunik residents are safe, because although we have a neighbor who wants to capture territories from Armenia, still Armenian army is strong, and now the only force who can prevent Azerbaijani incursions deep into Armenian territory. So right now, when we are talking, discussing, our brave soldiers standing in the international borders of Republic of Armenia, defending and securing our security and Armenia's security and independence and sovereignty. Before starting, I would like to thank Nasser, and would like to remind all our viewers that Nasser supported me to prepare a report on Syunik, which is in progress now, and hopefully at the end of the year we'll have a first draft. Actually, it is ready because the developments are so high and so rapidly continuous that we need time to understand where we are going in order to, summarize the report. That's why we need more time to understand what will happen with Syunik, what kind of roads will be opened, and etc. The situation in Syunik province now is relatively calm. Today, I visited 3 places. I visited Sisyan. Sisyan is the first city town in Syunik when you are driving from Yerevan. I visited Ishkhanasar village, which is the closest settlement of the events what happened yesterday, when Azerbaijani armed forces had advanced several kilometers deep into sovereign Armenian territory. And half of the day I spent in Goris. Now I am in Goris. I had 2 interviews with locals to understand what's going what is the situation now. I can say the following. First of all, after the 44-day war and humiliation, yesterday we can say, although we had heavy losses, but we can say that for the first time after 44-day disastrous war and after November 9-10 trilateral agreement or statement, for the first time Armenian army again showed his strength. Yes, we lost several square kilometers, that's true, but on the other hand, for the first time after the war, after disastrous war, the Armenian army stopped the Azerbaijani incursion and Azerbaijani advanced deep into Armenian territory. The Azeri side reported about 7 killed personnel, but I do believe that their loss is much more. Why is this important? Well, we should understand that we have also losses, but this is tragic reality. At this moment, when I'm speaking with you, my son also standing in the eastern border of Armenian-Azerbaijani border. As a father, of course, my situation is not easy, but I understand that if we want to guarantee our security and independence, or what remained from our independence and sovereignty, we, our sons, should stand at the border of Armenia and protect Armenian land. This is very important. Now Azerbaijan wants to push and pressure Armenians and on the negotiation table. Well, for Azerbaijan, this is zero-sum game. They want document, not a document, they want capitulation, and they want zero-sum game. But zero-sum game is not a solution. And yes, we should negotiate with Azerbaijan, but from the other hand, we should show our strength, that still Armenian army is strong, that we and Armenian army can protect the borders of internationally recognized Republic of Armenian borders. I'm not mentioning Artsakh, Nagorno-Karabakh, because, as you know, we delegated the security to Russian peacekeepers, and we can say that I visited Karabakh last week, and we can say that Karabakh, Nagorno-Karabakh, and Armenians living there are much more insecure. So our main task today is to protect Armenia's borders, Armenia's sovereignty and independence. As I said, Azerbaijan had advanced several kilometers in two places of the eastern border of Armenia. And according to official data, Azerbaijan, since May 2021, occupied, captured about 40 square kilometers territory of Republic of Armenia. And Armenia, since May of this year, clearly says that she's ready for delimitation and demarcation process with Azerbaijan. But Azerbaijan wants to receive, as they called and as they today called, Azerbaijani foreign minister, then Turkish foreign minister. They said that they should receive yes from Armenian side, and they should have an access, as they claimed, as they said, Zangezurian corridor, which will connect Azerbaijan with Nakhichevan and Turkey. So this is the situation. Azerbaijan wants to that corridor, and Armenia say no to any corridor. Armenia says that is ready for opening borders, railroads, highways, but we are not ready to give any sovereign passage, any corridor which will connect Azerbaijan, Nakhichevan, and Turkey.
Thank you, Tatul. Tatul,
Yes.
have there been statements made by the Armenian authorities to this extent that at this juncture they're not prepared to give a corridor?
Well, Armenians, for several times, Armenians very clearly said that, declared that they will not give any corridor to Azerbaijan, and Armenian authorities say that they are ready to continue negotiation process based on November 9-10 statement and January trilateral meeting, where there is no single word about corridor. And by the way, this escalation followed when Russian foreign minister, November 8, declared very clearly that in the negotiation process, there is no topic of corridor. And after that, 2 days after that statement, after Russia's foreign ministry statement, Azerbaijan installed a checkpoint at the Vorotan junction of Goris-Kapan highway, M2, called M2 highway, which now in some places enters to the Azerbaijani territory. And yesterday they installed the second checkpoint in Chakatan village, which is the village which is close to Kapan. And now 6-7 Armenian villages, in order to connect with Kapan, they are so close to Kapan, from 6 kilometers to 20 kilometers. Now they should use the road toward Megri, Kajaran, and back to Kapan. This is the situation. And now Azerbaijan wants to receive yes from Armenian side, to receive promise that Armenians should allow Azeri and Turkey to connect with each other with corridor. And Armenians clearly say, no, we are not ready. And by the way, interestingly, the clashes took place at the Armenian-Azerbaijani border. If you look at the map, you will see that Syunik is so narrow, yes, and in one place, the distance from Nakhichevan border to Armenian-Azerbaijani today's border is 26 kilometers, the narrowest part of the border, and the clashes took place at that place, which showed that Azerbaijanis probably want to, in one day, probably they want to just enter deep into Armenia. And as they promised, as Mr. Ilham Aliyev said for several times, they will open the corridor by force. This is very dangerous. This is very dangerous for Armenia. And this is the right time for Armenians all over the world to pour the streets of New York, Paris, Moscow, Tehran, Beirut, Sydney, to their solidarity, to show their solidarity with Armenia and Armenian nation and against Azerbaijan and Turkey.
Tatul, I think a question that probably a lot of people have is, will Russia honor the mutual defense pact it has with Armenia or not? Of course, we remember that it did not during the 44-day war because Artsakh is not Armenia. This is Armenia's sovereign territory and borders that are under threat here. What is the sense of Russia's position on this?
Look, this is really very, very important. And I think there are several, explanations, I think. yes, internationally, Nagorno-Karabakh, Artsakh is not Republic of Armenia. And when Russians say that during the 44-day war, they can't do anything because Nagorno-Karabakh is not part of Republic of Armenia, it is understandable, but not acceptable for Armenians, but it's understandable. But now, since May 12, when Azerbaijan first time had advanced into Armenian territory in the Sev Lake, Black Lake territory, and now yesterday and in May again in Gerar-Kunik region, we don't understand Russia's position. But let me try to explain. First of all, we should understand that Moscow tries to keep balance between Armenia, Azerbaijan, and Turkey. For Armenians, yes, it's very important, even an inch of territory for Armenia. But I don't think that for Russian is so very, sensitive, the issue of the, several kilometers or 1 hill or 1 mountain. But yes, Russia has had an obligation at 2 levels, at least at 2 levels. First, Pact signed 1997. Levon Ter-Petrosyan and Mr. Boris Yeltsin signed that pact. This is the Armenian-Russian intergovernmental level. And we have also another level, Collective Security Organization Pact, which clearly showed that the state members, and we understand that Russia is the backbone of that organization, and when there is a territorial threat, the parties of the states of that organization should support. But now we see that Russia and the organization are silent. According to my information, and by the way, that was my today's column at Alik Media. Yesterday, during the telephone conversation between Mr. Pashinyan and Mr. Putin, we received information from very reliable sources that Mr. Pashinyan asked Mr. Putin that Armenia wants to, in a return form, ask help from Russian side, but Mr. Putin said, don't do that. But on the other hand, he promised that Russia will do its best to stop the fightings, and they did. And Russian brokered yesterday's clashes between Armenia and Azerbaijan. Secondly, we should understand that Russia is a very big country, the biggest country in the world, but Russia is not a superpower, as many Armenians believe in the world. We see that now Turkey and Russia are equal partners, and even Azerbaijan can say no to Russians. So Russia is not USSR, and Russians can't, do what they want, even in the Caucasus. Turkey is a player now in the Caucasus. Azerbaijan is a factor in the player in the Caucasus. So we should understand that for Russia, it's not easy to persuade Azerbaijan and Turkey. And we should understand that there are disagreements between these Armenian authorities and Mr. Putin and Russian government. And in every, occasion, Russians want to say that, tell the Armenians that they are not happy what happened in Armenia back to 3 years ago. I mean, Velvet Revolution. What kind of rhetoric Mr. Pashinyan and his team accepted in regard of Russia. So we understand that there is some kind of misunderstanding between Armenia and Russia, and now Russian authorities are trying to demonstrate that they are not very happy with this Armenian government.
Tatul, if I may ask, we do have a question as to whether the Armenian troops actually stopped Azerbaijani forces. We know that 2 heights were taken by the Azerbaijani forces. So did the Armenians engage militarily after those heights were taken?
Look, it's true that Azeris had taken 2 Armenian military posts. And when the clashes started, and when Armenian army stopped the Azeri aggression, yes, Russians at the last moment, they brokered ceasefire, but Armenian army stopped the Azerbaijani advance, although yes, we lost yesterday, as authorities said, 2 military posts and several square kilometers territory.
Are drones coming into play in this at all
No.
at this point? Why do you think that is?
No, this point, no, but the sides used heavy artillery. And while talking with the residents in Sisyan and in the village of Ishkhanasar, which is about very close to the what yesterday happened, they said they heard the bombardments, and the sides used heavy artillery, and also Armenian military showed how Armenians strike the Azerbaijani personnel and Azerbaijani armored vehicles. And Armenians said that Azeris lost at least 6-7 armored vehicles.
We have a question from Henry, Tatul, and that question is, when you say Armenia is saying it is not ready, and I think it's not ready with regard to perhaps certain, is with regard to the corridor perhaps, or with regard to border delimitation, I'm not sure. Does that mean?
Let me say something and continue, please. Well, Armenia says that he is ready for delimitation and demarcation, but not for any corridor, because according to agreement, statement, which many Armenians think it's a capitulation act, I mean November 9 statement, trilateral statement, there is no any word about corridor. And in this case, Russia supports Armenians. As I said, Russian Foreign Ministry November 8, they made a statement saying that there is no word about Zangezurian, as Azeris and Turks claim Zangezurian corridor. But yes, Armenia is ready for delimitation and demarcation.
Tatul, was that comment with regard to a corridor plus any transfer of sovereignty, or just a corridor? Because I am looking at the November 9th agreement / capitulation, and it does refer, Article 9 does refer to a transport connection between Nakhichevan and the Republic of Azerbaijan. And it does say that the border guard service of the Russian Federal Security Services shall be responsible for overseeing the transport connections.
Look,
So is this Russia trying to ensure that it will be the one in control of such a transit?
of course,
Okay.
Russians want to deploy their peacekeepers everywhere, even in the territory of Armenia, which is, factually, it's under the Russian, Russian, what kind of word we should use, I don't know even, under the Russian control, let's use this word. Russians want to deploy their peacekeepers along all the roads, railroads connecting Armenia, Azerbaijan, Turkey, Armenia, Russia via Azerbaijan, and other roads, thus to have influence on Turkey and on Azerbaijan.
Right.
Because when they will deploy their peacekeepers, for example, along the railroad, it means that at any time they can close that railroad, which means that they have a leverage on Turkey and on Azerbaijan. But look, why Azerbaijan and Turkey are emphasizing the word of corridor. They understand that right now Armenia is very weak. They signed the agreement. According to that agreement, they allowed Russian peacekeepers not only deploy in the borders or in the administrative border between today's Nagorno-Karabakh and Azerbaijan, but also along the corridor connecting Armenia and Nagorno-Karabakh. And now Azerbaijan and Turkey wants the same corridor. They say, look, we give you a corridor which connects Nagorno-Karabakh to Armenia, and you should give us corridor which will connect Azerbaijan with Nakhichevan and with Turkey. We understand that there is no any agreement about the corridor in Zangezur, but Turkey and Azerbaijan wants to push and pressure Armenia and Russia to have that corridor.
I've got another question here, and I would ask everyone, please use the Q&A so we have things not in two different places, although we have two people trying to keep track of them. But question from Narek Safarian. Can you, maybe you addressed this early on, but what are the immediate causes for the fighting? What triggered it? And if I can ask also to pull back a little bit, over the past year or so, since the ceasefire, what have conditions been in and around Syunik? Has there been any indication of what was coming this week?
Well, what triggered, I think several factors triggered this escalation. First of all, as I said, Azerbaijan also wants demarcation and delimitation, but he wants a corridor. And because Armenia and Russia say no any corridor, they started escalation. Also, as I understand, the meeting which will expect it between, or conference between Mr. Putin, Mr. Pashinyan, and Mr. Aliyev, Armenian side at the last moment saying she is not ready for that kind of conversation, for that kind of conference to continue the negotiation process. And that is why Azerbaijan started this new provocation. And the third factor, I think, look, everyone think that, most of Armenians think that after the 44-day war, Turkey now entered into Caucasus. which is exaggeration, you know. Look, if Russia deployed his 2,000, 3,000 or 5,000, no one knows the exact number of the Russian peacekeepers and personnel in Nagorno-Karabakh and in Armenia. But let's use the let's use the figure 5,000. If Russia, deployed 5,000 troops in the international recognized territory of Azerbaijan, Turkey only now has 60 unarmed military personnel in Aghdam. And I think Turkey is not satisfied with this, and they want to undermine the process in order to, you know, add their influence in Azerbaijan and over Armenia.
Tatul, is there a sense as to whether Iran is opposed to the East-West corridor in Syunik?
What kind of corridor?
The corridor, and the Syunik corridor, the proposed or the Azeri proposed, Azeri imposed, seeking to impose corridor. Is there a sense as to whether Iran is for or against it?
Of course, Iran against, Russia against. Well, Russia is not against. Russia is 50-50 because they are not against, because they know that even if there will be a corridor, they know that for sure they will deploy peacekeepers along that corridor. So for Russian is 50-50, but Iran is against. But Iran is not doing anything to prevent Turkish and Azeris influence over Armenia. Moreover, Tehran, after 44-day disastrous war for Armenia, they congratulated Azerbaijan, and they again congratulated last week when Azerbaijan celebrated the year, as they said, their victory over against Armenia. So Iran's position, well, Iran is a good neighbor of Armenia, but we should understand that in Iran's role is not so clear in this game. Yes, but they are against to any corridor, because they understand that it's very dangerous if one day Armenia and Iran lose their common border. And this is very dangerous future, not only for Armenia, but also for Iran. Because as they desire, as they dream, Turks and Azeris will join in Syunik, with Syunik corridor, it means that they will have we will have a Turkic-speaking belt along this Armenian-Iranian border. So this is very dangerous also for Iran. That's why they are against. But what will Iranians do if, let's say, let's assume that corridor will be? What will be Iranians' reaction? Are they ready? Will be they ready to enter into the game? We don't know yet. But for sure they are against. And also we remember that in 2001, when Armenia and Azerbaijan was so close in Key West to find an agreement, final agreement called Key West Agreement or territorial swap, we remember Iranian reaction. They harshly criticized that agreement.
We do have a question with regard to the 60 or so soldiers, personnel in Agdam. Do we have are we certain that that is the number? What is the source? Has it been published?
Well, this is official force.
Has it been verified in any way?
This is official force. And yes, we know that during the wartime, during the 44-day war, Turkey supported Azerbaijan. They transferred into Azerbaijan 1,000 of mercenaries from Libya and from Syria. We know that they supported Azerbaijan, by supplying Bayraktars. They send to Azerbaijan their military, personnel, etc. But right now, the presence, the Turkish presence in Azerbaijan is not so, high, is not so widespread, and they want more.
Okay.
And they are not equal part of this game with Russia. They understand that Russia now dominates over the Caucasus, and that's why they are not very happy with this situation. And moreover, one more important thing. Now you can, while reading the Azeri press, you will find a lot of authors and articles which say that yes, we won the war, we liberate our territories, but now, before September 27, our neighbor or rival was Armenia, weak Armenia, and now is Russia. Will we be able to, say, go home Russians after 5 years, after 10 years? And now, many writers, many intellectuals think that this is not 100% victory.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
There's a question here, Tatul, that it appears Azerbaijan wants to take over the M2 E117 route of Syunik going through Sisian by the latest action. What are Armenia's military and diplomatic ways to overcome and eliminate this threat?
Well, now, as I said, Armenia's army is the guarantor of Armenia's security, but Armenia is weak, and Armenia can't fight against 10 million Azerbaijan and 80 million Turkey. We should use all our diplomatic channels. We should involve in this process our Western partners. We should use the diaspora network, the diaspora organization, our friend all over the world, in order to stop Azerbaijan and Turkish possible aggression against Armenia. But I do believe that for Turkey and for Azerbaijan, there are some red lines, and the red lines are the borders which we heritage from Soviet Union. I mean, Soviet Armenian or today's Republic of Armenian borders. And I think that Azerbaijan and Turkey will not dare to start a new war, provocations against Armenia. Yes, probably we can expect in coming weeks, coming months, this kind of provocations, what happened yesterday. But I don't think that Turks and Azeris will dare to capture, the road you mentioned. By the way, that is the road which during the Soviet time connected Nakhichevan to Azerbaijan. That road starts from Lachin via Goris to Angerakot to Belek. These are villages in Sisian region, into Badamlu, and then Badamlu is the first village. By the way, it was the Armenian village, one of the Armenian villages in Nakhichevan, to Nakhichevan. According to my information, during these trilateral meetings, participant of that trilateral conference from Armenian side, as you know, Vice Premier, and from Azerbaijani side, Vice Premier and Mr. Overchuk from Russian side. They are discussing, according diplomatic sources, they are discussing about two routes, about two ways which will connect Azerbaijan and Nakhichevan. One is the road you mentioned. The road goes through Sisian, and the other one is Ijevan, Razakh railroad and highway.
Tatul, you mentioned the international community, and there are several questions circling around that issue. What are the interests, or to what extent are NATO or the United States trying to be involved in this, or to become involved in this? Who in the international community might at least speak against Azerbaijan's actions? The United Nations has anything going on there? Do you have any information on these things?
Well, look, if we want to have Western influence, Western involvement, we should ask them to involve. No one will come and help Armenia if we will be silent. So everyone talks about Armenian-Russian agreement signed back in 1997. Everyone talks about collective security organization, but there are other tools Armenian diplomacy should use. For example, United Nations Security Council. We should ask our Western partners, United States, our European allies, to help Armenia in this situation. Well, we understand that not France, not United States will send their troops into the Caucasus. We understand this, but there are other tools they can use in order to prevent Azerbaijani and Turkish, anti-Armenian steps. We understand that Turkey is strong. We understand that Turkey is a player, not only a regional player. They think that in one day they dream about becoming a global player, and Europeans and Americans can't stop Turkish aggression, not only in the Caucasus but also in other places in our region. So it's not easy to prevent Turkish or to stop Turkish appetite.
Tatul, do we have a sense of why Armenia has not taken more measures to build its capacity at the border over the last few months?
Well, everyone criticized Armenian government for doing nothing, but I'm a critic of Armenian government, but we should understand the following fact. Now we have new borders, and the new borders from Gegarkunik, new border after the 44-day war, we have several hundred kilometers new borders with Azerbaijan. Yes, I can criticize my government. I criticize my government, but on the other hand, I understand that Armenia is not so strong to build new posts, new military posts, new, engineering things along the border. Azerbaijan has a lot of money, and Azerbaijan, only in Kelbajar, in the Lachin region, they constructed 500 kilometer road, which stretches along the Armenian border. And Armenia is a poor country.
Okay. Well, what measures have Azerbaijan taken since May to consolidate the territories that they've taken and occupied in Armenia proper? Do we have a sense of that? Have they taken measures? Have they taken measures to protect and consolidate their position?
Yes, of course, yes. Azerbaijan's not only they clearly say that they are when Armenia accuses Azerbaijan that Azerbaijan had advanced deep into Armenian territory, Azerbaijan claims that its troops located in the territory of the territories that Baku regained as a result of the war, 40-day war, and as a result of the trilateral agreement signed in November 9. But we know that they are in Armenian territory, according to even the maps published in Baku. We know it. And now Azerbaijan wants to stay in that territory and to keep that strategic heights. For example, yesterday they wanted to capture one very important hill, mountain, which just overlooking way connecting Goris, Sisyan, and Yerevan, but they didn't succeed.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a question also that has come up in several questions submitted. What leverage, if any, does Armenia have to try to, one, regain these territories that have been taken in recent fighting, or other territories? And related to this question, do Azerbaijan and Turkey, in fact, need an all-out war at this point if they can keep making small incursions that take small amounts of Armenian territory, but which would add up into major territorial loss potentially over the course of time?
Well, right now we understand that Armenian army is not ready to liberate the territories from Azerbaijan. This is sad reality. Well, in 1994, in 1993, we, liberated or captured 7 regions of Azerbaijan. But now we can't, liberate the territory which belongs to Republic of Armenia. This is sad reality. Well, I think Azerbaijan, and because we can't now, we haven't enough strength to liberate our territory with support of our army, we should use our other measures like diplomatic measures, our partners, our strategic allies support, and etc. As of the second question, I think Azerbaijan and Turkey wants to control and to take more and more territories from Armenia in Syunik region, in Gegarkunik region, in order to dictate their will over Armenia during the negotiation process. We understand that delimitation and demarcation process is a long process. Even, states which are, let's say, friendly states, like for example, Armenia and Georgia. For 25 years, we can't finish the demarcation, delimitation of the Armenian-Georgian border, and 40% of the Armenian-Georgian border still is not delimited and demarcated. And imagine demarcation, delimitation process between Armenia and Azerbaijan. And Azerbaijan, knowing that this is long process, they want to have territories in order to dictate their will, in order to get more and more from Armenia. That's why they want to capture different territories in different places.
There's a rather detailed question here, which I want to read basically verbatim. Can you explain precisely what is the difference between the terms of the 2020 ceasefire agreement, which specifies unobstructed transport from Nakhchivan to the main part of Azerbaijan under Russian Guard protection, and what Azerbaijan and Turkey want now in terms of a, quote, corridor, unquote? Since you said Armenia favors opening borders and roads, why hasn't Armenia just declared the road to be open with Russian protection and whatever other conditions Armenia wants to impose? Has Armenia failed to implement its side of the ceasefire agreement?
Look, when according to the statement signed in November, in that statement, clearly we are talking about roads and about railroads, about connections, but not corridor. Corridor is a corridor, like corridor which connecting Armenia and with Nagorno-Karabakh. That is the corridor, 5-kilometer length, and no Azerbaijani allows any Armenian stop in the corridor. Corridor is a place, is a corridor where Armenians can travel to Nagorno-Karabakh. Nagorno-Karabakh residents can travel Armenia without any obstacle, any Azerbaijani obstacle. We are not paying any fee to Azerbaijan, And the same kind of corridor, as I understand, wants Azerbaijan and Turkey. This is the difference between corridor and roads and railroads. Well, when we say that we can open our territory for Azerbaijan and Turkey, we mean that Turkey and Azerbaijan can use Armenian territory as Georgians and Iranians use Armenian territory. When they entering Armenian territory, they pay some kind of, some money for, for goods, for transport. But Turks and Azeris wants a corridor which will allow them to have free access from Turkey to Nakhchivan and to Azerbaijan, the same as we have in Nagorno-Karabakh.
Ara, do you have a question there?
Sure. I mean, there's a follow-up question to that Alan asks. Well,
Yes.
If that were to happen, or from Gregory actually, would not the corridor to Zanges would compromise Armenian sovereignty by linking Azerbaijan to Turkey? You mentioned that Russian peacekeepers would protect and monitor this corridor, but the corridor would essentially mean that Armenia would not have control over this southern stretch of territory.
Yes, that's right. That's right. That's why we should do our best. We should try not allow any corridor to Turkey and Azerbaijan. That's true, yes. And potentially, when corridor also is very dangerous for Armenia, because corridor means that Armenia is divided to Armenia. Corridor means that we will have two Armenia. Well, Northern Armenia and Southern Armenia, which is very dangerous.
Yes.
And following up on that, again, this is a question from Alan Whitehorn. What evidence is there? This is maybe a rhetorical question, but it's an important one. What evidence is there that Armenian concessions to Aliyev and Erdogan will satisfy their ambitions, since their ambitions appear to be virtually endless?
Yeah, endless. Yes, endless. The only obstacle which will close the Turkish and Azeris ambitions and appetite is strong Armenia. We remember that before the war, Armenia dictated its will, and now Turkey and Azerbaijan dictates their will over Armenia. So they understand that Armenia is weak. And by the way, Turkey and Armenia wants peace. Turkey and Azerbaijan want peace with Armenia, but with Armenia, which is weak, which is very weak.
Peace on their terms, yes.
Yeah, peace on their terms, right.
Tatul, Kevork asks us if Ishkhanasar is almost midway between Azerbaijan and Nakhichevan. Did Azeri forces really advance that far, and are they still there? How close did they get to Sisian?
No, they are not. They are not in Ishkhanasar. Ishkhanasar is the fifth Armenian highest mountain. Ishkhanasar is under the Armenian control, and I can't imagine that Ishkhanasar will be under Azerbaijani control. If they, capture Ishkhanasar, that means that they can close the road between Sisian and Goris. Just I can't imagine. It's very, very important, very, very strategical mountain, and in that mountains, Armenians sit very, very strong.
Mm-hmm. Do you see efforts to grow Armenia's capacity to be mobile and to achieve and to get to points on the border that are at risk? And have they developed a mechanism to actually gather intelligence with regards to what Azerbaijan is doing on the other side of the border and where they might be amassing troops?
Well, I think that I believe that these authorities can't, organize strong Armenian army. But on the other hand, if I compare army we had after the war and army now we have, there is a different. The difference is very, very obvious. Now Armenian army is much more stronger than after the war. Yes, we can say that Armenian army now has a brain. After the war, we had an army without brain. And now Armenia's army has a brain.
But if Azerbaijan decided to escalate and to begin reusing drones once again, would that not be decisive?
Yes. Look, we should also accept and understand that the only obstacle which doesn't allow Azerbaijan and Turkey to capture Syunik is Russian presence in Armenia. This is another reality. And if we want to change the situation, we should, recover our army, recover our economy, and try to talk with Turkey and Azerbaijan. When I say should speak with Turkey and Azerbaijan. Many Armenians criticize me, but for me, negotiations with Azerbaijan and Turkey is very important instrument for Armenia. It's a very important security instrument. And when we don't want to talk with Turks and with Azeris, Russians, Europeans, Americans start to talk with Turkey and Azerbaijan, and they push forward their agenda, but not Armenia's agenda. That's why I know it's not easy to talk with Turkey and Azerbaijan, but there is no other way. There is no alternative.
Tatul, you mentioned,
yeah.
Tatul, you're mentioning Turkey and Azerbaijan quite often together, even with regard to this last incursion at this juncture in time. Could you explain as to why you see Turkey playing, and where you see Turkey playing such a decisive role in this? Because from here, it seems that Azerbaijan is the driver, and these are Azerbaijani expansionist policies that do have a convergence, perhaps with some elements of a Turkish agenda, but the main driver, from what we can see, is Azerbaijan.
Of course, the main driver is Azerbaijan, but Azerbaijan is a main driver because they understand that they feel the Turkish breath. That's why they can go in such kind of provocations. They understand that Turkey is ready to help Azeris, and the only country who supported yesterday was again Turkey. So the Turkish role is very important. Yes, on one hand, Turkish presence in Azerbaijan is not widespread, but on the other hand, they can support, they can help Azerbaijan. So that's why Azerbaijan understand that they have a friend.
Yeah. Tatul, we lost you for the last 5 seconds. If you could just repeat your last 2 sentences. No, if you could just repeat what you just said, your last 2 sentences, we lost you.
My last sentence is, well, I think that Armenia now lives his, one of the hardest days of history, of Armenia's history. Even I can say that since 1920, when we lost Kars and several thousand kilometers, we lost part of Eastern Armenia. Now Armenia lives very difficult times, and now this is the right time for Armenians all over the world to show their support, their solidarity with Armenia's statehood, with the Armenian army. I understand that many Armenians don't want and don't accept Pashinyan and his team, but now we are talking of Armenia's sovereignty, about Armenia's territory. And right now, all Armenians should stand with Armenia, with Armenians, and try to help us to overcome these very difficult times for our nation.
Let me ask a blunt question then, Tatul, that comes out of several comments and questions that have appeared. To what extent is the current precarious situation a function of incompetent leadership, and can the government survive this situation?
Well, it depends from Russia. We understand that half of the population of Armenia elected this catastrophe. I mean, Nikol Pashinyan and his team. But we know that every day they are losing their popularity, and now the only power who support Pashinyan is Russia. Without Russian support, Nikol Pashinyan can't stay in power. But Russians want to end the game with Pashinyan. They started the game with Pashinyan, and they want to end the game with Pashinyan. After that, probably Pashinyan will resign, or what will happen, I don't want to predict.
Okay. Mark, do we have time for more questions, or should we be?
We should
Tatul,
take
do you have more time for questions?
maybe one or two more, and then we should.
Yes,
probably
please,
wind it
one
down.
or more questions, because after 15 minutes, I have my live in Armenian in Facebook. So,
Understood.
yeah.
So here's one question. You had spoken earlier about the Armenian army, the Armenian military recovering its brain, so to speak. What do you mean by that, and how has that happened in the past year since the terrible military defeat of 1 year ago?
When we had a terrible war, look, we lost 4,000, at least 4,000 Armenian soldiers, 10,000 injured, which means that every 10% we lost 10% of our army, and 20% became, wounded. So let's say that we lost about 30% of our army, and after that terrible and catastrophic war, any army was not easy, to keep his brain. What I'm saying is that last year, now we recovered our army. We received some, armaments from Russia, and now we can, at least we can, fight against Azerbaijan in one local place. But I'm not saying that Armenian army is the same as before. Look, in 1994, when Azerbaijan lost the war, lost the territories, in order to recover their army and in order to start a new war, they waited 26 years. 26 years. And during that time, they converted oil money into weapon and started a war against Armenia. And now we are talking about 1 year, only 1 year, Armenia without oil. So it's not easy during a 1 year time to recover all capacity of Armenian army.
So when you say
that doesn't mean that Armenia's authorities are not catastrophic.
I mean, it's hard to just reconcile all these statements, Tatul, to be honest.
Yeah.
So it's there's stronger, significant progress has been made, but we're not sure how to measure significant progress because the demands and the challenges are great.
And
But the same-
Arajan, by the way,
Yeah.
every Armenian right now should ask the following question. Is he ready to become a soldier of Armenian army? Is he ready to send his son into Armenian army? Is he ready to sacrifice something for Armenian army? Is he ready to, to send every day, let us say, $10 to Armenian army? When we say Armenian government, we should understand that Armenia is not Nikol Pashinyan. Armenian army is not Nikol Pashinyan, fortunately. Armenian army is me, you, and all Armenians.
Yes. With regard to, yes, thank you. Yes, there is a shared responsibility.
Yeah, of course.
Although more, however, there are those who are primarily responsible.
Of
although there's a
course.
shared responsibility.
Of course.
And with regard to those who are primarily responsible, you mentioned that there's been an improvement in terms of, I guess, brain capacity, in terms of policy making. There's been some sort of, improvement. Can you give us a sense of, that where that optimism might come from, so our audience members can also feel a little bit more optimistic, perhaps?
Well, we should be optimistic.
No, specifically with regard to the brain and the policy-making capacity and the capacity to execute, let's say, policy and implement policy. Is there any, or have there been any highlights? Have there been any shining moments that, or anything?
Well, the shining moment was yesterday's battle, as I said, where for the first time, Armenian army responded to Azerbaijani, aggression. Although we also had heavy losses, but again, for the first time after 44-day war, Armenia showed his strength, and now Azeris understand that Armenia is recovering. This is the shining moment, I think, and I believe.
Thank you. And the responsibility of the border, by the way, is that under the Army Chief of Staff, or is it under the Defense Minister directly? Because the Defense Minister was just removed, right?
Yes, we can say under the Chief of Staff, but when we are talking, let's use the term Armenian Army.
Okay. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you,
thank
Tatul. Mark, is there anything you'd like to add?
I would like to add something hopeful, but I don't have anything in that department. So it's a very serious, very grave situation, and it's obvious that nothing less than the integrity of Armenia as a state is hanging in the balance, really. Very grateful to you, Tatul, for doing this on very, very short notice and taking time out of what I'm sure is a very busy day for you. So thank you. We will be hearing more from you, I know, in the near future, more about Syunik and more about other matters. And thank you also for your help in coordinating this and in framing it. And of course, I thank the audience as well for your many questions. I apologize for not getting to all of them. There are more questions than answers, but hopefully this has provided some useful information to people trying to process this situation. So we'll sign off. And again, thank you so very much.
Thank you. And good night.
Tatul, take good care, Tatul.